If you do this well, the selection committee should essentially be able to speak about you in a single sentence. Or you could be the student athlete with an interest in general surgery because she enjoys engaging both her body and mind. When someone reads your personal statement and they are done reading it, what is the message that you want them to have in their minds about you? It is very important to have an authentic liking for the specialty that you're applying to because it's going to come out in interviews. Even if you manage to write something that is somewhat believable, when you get to the interviews, people are going to be able to tell that you are talking about something that you do not authentically love. Authenticity is actually really important as well for your letters of recommendation. Normally, people who do not know you well cannot write strong, positive, and convincing letters about you. Telling me what your C is, telling me where you see yourself in the future is how I will be able to fall in love with what you're doing, to cheer for you and to decide, okay, yes, I am going to give you the opportunity to train in my program to become this person who you see yourself being in the future. Hello. You're listening to the IMG Residency Match podcast, where ambitious international medical graduates like yourself get the insider strategies and inspiration you need to match into residency. I'm your host, Shauna K. Lester, the founder of Memorable Essay and the creator of the IMG Residency Match Application Accelerator, a program that helps you create a memorable residency application to match. So if you're looking for proven strategies to match and the inspiration to create a medical career you absolutely love, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Regardless of the specialty that you're applying to as an international medical graduate, you are trying to stand out. You are trying to be memorable. In this week's episode, we're going to talk about 3 qualities that are key. They are tools, they are writing tools, but they're also qualities of your application that are key to ensuring that in a pool of thousands, people will read it and think, this one, I want to learn some more. Let's go. The first quality that we must take a look at is clarity. So what's clarity? It's the quality of being coherent, being intelligible. What it means is that whatever you've written is simple and we can understand what you're saying. That's what it means when your match application is clear, when it has clarity. It means that for your personal statement, you should have one main message. And within that personal statement, each paragraph should have one main message. So the first quality is clarity. Clarity is simply the quality of being coherent, being intelligible. It just means that what you're saying is simple and we can understand what you're saying. What this means for your personal statement is that your statement has one main message. And within that personal statement, each paragraph has one main message. If you do this well, the selection committee should essentially be able to speak about you in a single sentence. For instance, the non-traditional medical student who wants to become a pediatrician to advocate for children whose families are not familiar with navigating the healthcare system. Or you could be the student athlete with an interest in general surgery because she enjoys engaging both her body and mind simultaneously. Maybe you are the cooking enthusiast who brings his meticulousness, creativity, and people-centered approach in the kitchen to the practice of anesthesiology. You will know that you're ready to submit your personal statement when it has one clear main message, when there is clarity. This goes without saying, but clarity is also going to be really important for your letters of recommendation as well, and also for your CV. People should be able to really get a sense of who you are from your LORs because they're not speaking about 1 million things. And also your CV should be pointing in some sort of general cohesive direction. So I focused most of my talk about clarity on the personal statement, but it goes without saying that every single document that is a part of your application needs to be clear. It needs to be coherent. It needs to be intelligible. We need to be able to easily understand what it is you're trying to say. So, the action step that I have for you as it pertains to your personal statement is to think about this. When someone reads your personal statement and they are done reading it, what is the message that you want them to have in their minds about you? If they're thinking about you at the end of the day, if they're thinking about you when it's time to make their rank order list, how do you want to be remembered? I know that that might sound a little drastic, but I'm being serious. Honestly, when somebody has finished reading 10, 15, 20, 60, 500 applications, if they were to talk about you in a single sentence, what would you want that sentence to say? If you can come up with that clear single sentence about yourself, you are on the road to producing a personal statement that is clear and therefore will help you to be memorable. Another quality that is essential for your match application if you're going to be memorable is authenticity. Authenticity is really just the quality of being true, that something is what you say it is. So let me just get on my soapbox for a minute. I mean, maybe it's not a soapbox, but let me talk about this for a minute. Authenticity starts with applying to a specialty that you're truly in love with. So this is really something that you can see yourself continuing in for residency and beyond. You know, even when you're sad to be away from home, even when you're struggling, trying to learn how to use all of the different EMRs and the different hospitals that you're working in. Something that you authentically love will get you hopping out of bed and to work in the morning. So whenever possible, do apply to a specialty that you authentically love, something that it is true that you are drawn to. But as someone who has worked with international medical graduates, has worked with foreign medical graduates, I know that this is not always possible. Sometimes I'm talking to someone in a consultation and they're applying to a specialty that they don't really love, but they just need to match into a specialty. They need to get into the match. The problem is sometimes, and normally in these cases, is that I can tell from the tone of their voice, from the rate of their speech. They just sound resigned. They don't sound very enthusiastic. And we're going to talk about a solution to that a little later. So for instance, I shouldn't be able to tell that you're applying to internal medicine as a backup to anesthesiology just because, you know, there might not be a spot for you in anes. I shouldn't be able to tell that you're applying to family medicine because your family relocated to the US and you feel like you have pretty low odds of matching into whatever was your first choice, you know, in your home country, like you were an orthopedic surgeon or you were en route to becoming a cardiologist. I shouldn't be able to tell. Or that you're applying to family medicine just in case you don't get any interviews for obstetrics and gynecology. I should not be able to tell. What I would say is that if you are in a position where you have to apply to a backup specialty because you are pivoting or for some other reason, you can do your best to at least try to fall in love with it. Think about and concentrate on all of the things in this specialty that you actually love. And whenever possible, you could go ahead and get some US clinical experience in the specialty as well, so that when you are talking about it, people don't hear this general like lack of enthusiasm or this feeling that what you are saying is just not true. It is very important to have an authentic liking for the specialty that you're applying to because it's going to come out in interviews. Even if you manage to write something that is somewhat believable, when you get to the interviews, people are going to be able to tell that you are talking about something that you do not authentically love. Authenticity is actually really important as well for your letters of recommendation. Normally, people who do not know you well cannot write strong, positive, and convincing letters about you. Wherever possible, you want to choose people who have directly supervised you, who have directly seen you work, and can genuinely speak about you in a strong and positive light. You want to start this LOO process by actually speaking with these individuals to know the things about you that stand out or things that they would care to highlight. This quality of being true is extremely, extremely, extremely important for your LORs, and you don't want to overlook it in the same way that you will not overlook authentically applying to something that you love. So when you're writing about it in your personal statement, you come across as authentic. And on to a third quality that people normally struggle with a lot, and that is relevance. So relevance is the quality of being closely connected or being appropriate, something that is appropriate, something that is fit for the occasion. And this is one of the areas where match applicants, in my experience, struggle the most. You'll find it coming out when you sit with yourself and you're saying to yourself, what should I include in my personal statement? I mean, there are so many things that I could potentially include. What should I write about? Should I be writing about the personal experiences that I have had as a patient or that a family member has had as a patient? But I read somewhere on a blog and on a forum that I shouldn't write about my grandma because everybody writes about their grandma. But it's really the time that my grandmother was sick, that made me want to be a doctor or that made me want to go in internal medicine. People have these questions. Should I write about this other personal experience that was really transformative? Or is that too much information? Do they not want to know that? Is that not relevant? Is it not appropriate? These are the questions that you're asking yourself. And we're going to talk about how you can create something that is relevant. Before I get there, I also want to say that relevance has become increasingly important for the CV. There was a time when ERAS would allow you to submit however many experiences you wanted to on your CV. That has changed because you are now being asked to submit 10 experiences in your ERAS application. And these experiences can be, whatever in nature. They can be your professional experiences. They can be research experiences. They can be voluntary experiences. They can even be activities. And so you have to, again, sit with yourself and think about what is relevant. Relevance comes up also for your letters of recommendation. When someone could write, just about anything about you, what is relevant? I actually was reading over a couple LORs earlier in the year as people got their letters ready. And there were definitely several instances of people who were writing about a local context. So these were not letters from U.S. clinical experience, but people who were writing from a local context, providing information about the local context, but just far too much information, more than a program director or a program would care to hear. So you can think about if you have a page and a half LOR, half of the first page providing some sort of local context. That is not relevant to what people need to know about whether or not you are an applicant who is clinically strong, somebody who can do a good job on their team. Yes, they're going to need some information from your local context, but they are not going to need so much. So you always want to have top of mind as you prepare your application, as you prepare your personal statement, as you prepare your CV, as you guide your LOR writers, what is relevant, what is appropriate. A quick pause to thank our sponsor, the IMG Residency Match Application Accelerator. The IMG Residency Match Application Accelerator helps international medical graduates like you create a memorable application to match. Learn more at bit.ly/IMG match. Now back to the conversation. For your personal statement, I'm going to give you a cheat sheet because why not? You want to provide answers to all of the important questions, all of the core questions. This goes for you when you're applying to residency. This goes for you when you're applying to fellowship. This will actually go whenever you're applying to a hospitalist job. It's always going to be along the same line of questioning. There are certain core questions that people are going to want answers to because at the end of the day, your residency post is a job. It is a job and people are going to have these questions because you are coming to perform a job. These questions that you are going to focus on in order to have an application that is relevant so you can be memorable is why have you chosen this specialty? And that is, of course, linked to authenticity. When you're explaining, people will know whether or not you actually really want to do it. But to be relevant, one of the first questions that you're going to have to answer is why have you chosen this specialty? You have several specialties that you could choose, and you're telling me that you want to come in my program for the next 3, 4, 5, 7 years to do this specialty. So tell me a little bit about it. You also want to talk about what strengths you bring to this specialty. That's another question people are going to want you to answer. What are the strengths that you bring to this specialty? Because you must have something to offer in such a competitive process where there are many options that I will have where, as I've mentioned, you yourself will be competing against your self-doubt and all your hesitations. What are the strengths that you do bring to the table? Why should I hire you? People are also going to be wanting to know programs. Selection committees are going to be wanting to know, where do you see yourself in the future? I talk a lot when I'm working with my group inside the ING Residency Match Application Accelerator that a part of this process, when we get to interview prep as well, we're going to talk more about it, is that people are going to be drawn to you based on your motivation. So it's not just that you're working in this specialty, but why are you working in this specialty? What is it that drives you? And sharing your future plans is a great way to show your motivation. If you're trying to solve a particular problem, if you are en route to making a one-of-a-kind contribution to a one-of-a-kind patient in need, people want to hear about that, because essentially what residency training is that here I am at point B and I'm trying to get to point C, and residency is going to be B. It is going to bridge the gap between A and C. So telling me what your C is, telling me where you see yourself in the future, is how I will be able to fall in love with what you're doing, to cheer for you, and to decide, okay, yes, I am going to give you the opportunity to train in my program to become this person who you see yourself being in the future, or to solve this problem that you see yourself solving in the future. Something else that is relevant and that is also extremely important for me is a patient anecdote, and a question where that is concerned might be, tell me the most memorable patient you've ever worked with. Tell me a patient who you remember. Tell me a patient who made an impression on you in this field, because that is the foundation of the work that you're going to be doing in residency. Programs are going to be looking for your clinical knowledge and your skills. They're going to be looking for how you interact with patients. And so it is extremely relevant to share your patient experiences and to let us know that you love working with patients, which is what you are going to be doing all day, every day in our program. So this is what is appropriate as you are putting together your personal statement. This is what is relevant. When you do your personal statement well, however, a personal statement is not an academic statement of purpose. A personal statement is not a research statement. A personal statement is not a cover letter. These are all different types of documents that are used within job applications and admission processes for different reasons. It's not your PhD research statement. It's not your master's academic statement of purpose. It is not your hospitalist job cover letter. It's a personal statement. I say all of that to say that as you are answering these questions, as you are including content about all of these relevant questions, you also need to be simultaneously telling your personal story. That is where the personal statement is different, and that is how you stand out. When you are simultaneously telling your professional story and your personal story together in a way that makes you memorable. For your CV, I will say what is relevant, especially as you get into choosing your 10 experiences for ERAS. You want to preference whatever shows off your clinical knowledge and skills. This is especially true for my FMGs who might have done an internship year and gone on to do other clinical years that are extremely important. So you've worked as an SHO, as a registrar. Some people have even done residencies in their home country before moving. If you have clinical knowledge and skills, you don't want to hide those things. Yes, you're going to communicate that you're still teachable, but whatever you have garnered, this is a time to show it off, to show that, hey, I'm still teachable, I'm still hungry, but I can hit the ground running because I have clinical knowledge and skills. You also want to include on your CV whatever backs up your personal statement. So remember how we applied clarity to our personal statement? Remember how we got one main message for our personal statement, one main message in each paragraph, and a take-home message for the listener. Remember that take-home message about being the person who's really creative in the kitchen and really meticulous, and so you apply that kind of meticulousness and creativity to anesthesiology? or you're that person, who really believes in the holistic care of the patient because they're not just their disease, and you tell some sort of story, give us some sort of message that makes us understand that whenever we are dealing with you, Dr. X, we are dealing with the holistic care of the patient and never just their disease. That clear message that you had in your personal statement, it will help us to have some backup on your CV. So I want to see on your CV, that you love sports or that you love cooking because you spoke all about it in your personal statement. I want to see the time that you worked in a restaurant. I want to see the time that you served as a sous chef if you were talking all about, cooking. I want to see the time when you worked out in the community to have a better understanding of what were some of the environmental factors that are affecting people's health-seeking behaviors. All of those things are relevant because they're contributing to supporting the clear message from your personal statement. So this is what is relevant for your CV. You can also think about your CV as a document that can show your balance, because for your personal statement, you can only write so much. With 10 experiences from your CV, we can really get a sense of whether you are somebody who has invested any time in research, any time in voluntary experiences, any time in extracurricular activities. And people are going to want to be around someone who has expertise, yes, but who also is somebody who is good to be around, somebody who's fun to be around. So you want to use your CV to give a more holistic picture of yourself, to show that you are someone who has more going on for you than just your grades. So as we are getting closer to September 24, and you are pulling your application into the home stretch at this point, hopefully, I want you to remember these qualities that your application should have to help you to be memorable. There should be clarity, there should be authenticity, and there should be relevance to the questions that are on people's mind. When I bring this person into my program, can they do a good job? Will they enjoy doing a good job? And will I be so happy that they matched here because I really enjoy working with them? Until next time, take care. Hey friend, thank you for listening to the IMG Residency Match podcast. If you're ready to create a memorable application that gives you the best possible odds of matching into residency, connect with me at bit.ly/IMG match. That's all lowercase. And you can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Memorable Essay. Our handle is Memorable Essay. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow, leave a review, and share it with another IMG who's on their match journey. Your support helps more ambitious IMGs to find our show. Until next time, keep focused and be memorable.